My advice to parents is to be patient, that it is a process that does take some time, but to be patient enough, but also to advocate for your child, because you know in your heart what's best for your child. You're with them every day, and just to go with your gut feeling. If you have concern, to go with that and address it. Don't sit silent.
In the beginning, I kind of felt like maybe I was the only mother that had a child with special needs, and I know that sounds silly, but you know, I didn't know that there were so many other parents going through the same thing as me. And it was really overwhelming, wondering, oh, you know, am I doing something wrong? How come this is so hard?
As the parent of a child with special needs or disabilities, you have entered the unique world of special education. Special education is specially designed instruction that is free and appropriate to meet the individual needs of a student with a disability. This instruction may be provided in a school classroom or in a non-school setting such as the home, hospital, or other setting. There is a federal law that guarantees a free, appropriate public education to every child with a disability. It is called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. This law describes how children with disabilities are to be educated and how parents and professionals should work together. In addition, each state has rules and regulations on how to implement the IDEA. These vary from state to state. However, the basic requirements of the law are the same. This program will help you understand the basic special education process and how you can be an effective partner in that process.
I know I'll have to fight it out with the school system. They're not interested in helping my child. I've heard all about public education.
Special educators teach because they care about children. Don't prejudge the situation. If you go in with your boxing gloves, the teacher may get defensive and be tempted to fight back.
It's really important to have a good relationship with your team. I think I've been pretty lucky with my son that I have been able to have a good relationship, but a lot of times I've seen what happens when you don't, and it doesn't take very long for bad communication to really destroy the efforts that you're making on behalf of a child.
If your child is having difficulty in school, either you or the school may request that these difficulties be reviewed by a child study team or student assistance team, SAT, as it is commonly referred to. You are a part of this team, and it is a good time for you to get to know school staff and to develop a positive relationship with them. Policies and procedures related to these teams are different from state to state, but the purpose is the same everywhere. That is, to implement several interventions to see how well the child responds. These short-term interventions might include more frequent parent conferences, behavior management techniques, changes in instruction or classroom teachers, or social skills training, just to name a few. This process is often called Tier 1 and Tier 2 interventions. After these interventions have been tried for a time and data has been gathered, the results are reviewed to see how well the child responded to the interventions. If the interventions are not successful in addressing the child's needs, a referral for evaluation is made. If during the Tier 1 and Tier 2 interventions process a parent requests a special education evaluation, the school must move forward with the parent referral to plan and conduct the evaluation, or issue a written notice to the parent outlining the reasons why it will not conduct the evaluation. If parents disagree with the school's reason, they may follow the procedures outlined later in this program. The evaluation process takes planning, and parents are an essential part of the evaluation planning team.
My daughter's being evaluated tomorrow. What if something goes wrong? What if she does well on the tests? I know she needs the help, but what if the tests don't confirm it? I know. I'll keep her up late tonight. I won't give her medication, and for good measure, cookies for breakfast.
It is important for your child to be tested in the most normal situation possible. The testing result will help determine how your child is educated. Accurate test results will be the greatest help to the evaluation team and your child.
Often, parents think of evaluation as simply testing. Evaluation is far more than a formal test. Evaluation is an information gathering process that helps a team made up of parents, teachers, administrators, and evaluators to determine whether a child needs special education and what types of services are needed. Information can be gathered from many sources, including parents, teachers, child interviews, behavioral observations in the child's classroom, student work samples, and formal and informal educational testing, as well as psychological testing. Anytime school personnel conduct an evaluation beyond the testing that is normally given to all children, parents must give written permission.
It was suggested to me that I have him tested, and at first I was kind of a little bit offended because I wasn't sure what was wrong, and I wasn't sure how to even understand the testing. So the first time they showed me the testing, it was kind of overwhelming because they had all these spreadsheets and they have graphs and they're showing you how your child compares to other children their age. And I just thought, gosh, I don't know if I understand this testing very well. So it was a little bit overwhelming in the beginning. But over time, I did get more comfortable with understanding the data, and I learned to ask a lot of questions, and particularly to the school psychologists, because they're the ones that can kind of really give you a more detailed explanation of what the testing means.
Once the evaluation process is complete, parents meet with the school team that gathered the information. It is important for parents to understand the results of each part of the evaluation. They are an essential member of the team that will determine whether their child is eligible for special education services. Parents have a right to ask questions such as, what is the test measuring? What is an average or normal score on this test? How does my child compare to others? What can my child do or not do? What does this mean in terms of teaching my child?
What? I don't agree with these test results. This is all wrong. This can't be right. Do these people even know what they're doing? This just can't be happening.
There is a process you can use to resolve any concerns you have about the testing and evaluation process. Don't give up.
There are two things to consider when determining if the evaluation process and results are appropriate. First, ensure that the legal requirements for proper assessment procedures were followed. The state special education rules and federal regulations outline the legal requirements. State rules may vary from state to state, but federal regulations do not. The second is to address any concerns regarding the assessment results. Suppose the testing indicates that your child is on a first grade level and you believe she is on a third grade level. Or, suppose the testing does not give you enough information about what your child can or cannot do. If you have concerns, ask questions. Also, parents may ask the school to provide additional testing or to conduct the testing in a different manner. If parents disagree with the school's results, they may even ask the school to provide an independent educational evaluation. Parents are entitled to an independent evaluation at the school's expense. Independent evaluators can be selected by the parent as long as they meet the qualifications of the state and school district. If parents request an independent evaluation, the school district may provide it, or they may initiate a due process hearing to show that their evaluation is appropriate. Determining eligibility for special education is the next step in the process. A team, including parents as equal partners, decides if a child meets the criteria for being served in special education. Eligibility criteria are outlined in state special education rules and federal regulations. The requirements and procedures to qualify for special education eligibility are different depending on the type of disability and also vary from state to state. Parents can get information specific to their state from the school district's special education department or from the state's special education rules. If a child meets eligibility criteria, then the child will be identified as a student in need of special education services and will be identified in a specific disability classification category. This confidential classification allows the state to receive federal education funds and should not be used to label the child or to determine a specific program or placement. If the team determines that the child does not meet the eligibility criteria, then the special education evaluation process is finished. However, parents do have the right to appeal the decision.
When Matthew was part of our IEP meetings, I asked the team ahead of time that we never speak about what he can't do, because none of us really know what we are capable of. But given the chance, we should just open up those dreams far and wide and then accept wherever we end up.
When a child is found to be eligible for special education services, her services are outlined in an Individualized Education Program, or IEP. The IEP has a number of pieces. First, there must be a statement of the child's present level of academic achievement and functional performance, commonly referred to as PLAF. This must be written in measurable terms and is based on the evaluation data discussed earlier. Second, an IEP includes a list of measurable annual goals and a description of how those goals will be measured. IEPs for students who qualify for alternate assessments must also include benchmarks or short-term objectives. A measurable annual goal is a statement of what improvements the team wants the child to reach in 1 year. For instance, if the team wants Michelle to participate in class discussions, a good measurable goal might be, during class discussion, Michelle will raise her hand and answer one question during each math class without prompting in 9 of 10 class sessions. Making sure that the annual goals are observable and measurable enable the team to effectively monitor the child's progress on the IEP and help the team to know when to change the goals. The third part of an IEP addresses related services and supplementary aids and services. These services may include things such as speech-language services and audiology, interpreting services, physical and occupational therapy, counseling, and so on. If the IEP team determines that the child needs any of these services to reach the IEP goals, the team should list these services on the IEP document. The fourth part of an IEP is an explanation of the extent to which the child will participate with non-disabled children in the regular education class and in extracurricular and other non-academic activities. The next part of an IEP is a statement of any individual accommodations or modifications needed to measure the child's academic or functional performance, including state and district-wide tests. If the IEP team determines that the child will not participate in a particular assessment, a statement of why that assessment is not appropriate for the child and how the child will be assessed must be included. The sixth part of an IEP is the projected date for the beginning of the IEP services and their anticipated frequency, location, and duration. For example, the IEP may state that a child will spend 3 hours per day, 5 times a week, in a regular education classroom. Another part of the IEP focuses on transitions. For younger students, the IEP might include measurable goals to help them transition from early intervention to preschool, from preschool to kindergarten, and so on. By the time a student turns 14, the IEP must include certain components such as measurable post-secondary goals, courses of study, and a coordinated set of activities to assist the student to live independently, pursue meaningful careers, and enjoy community involvement after he finishes high school. For students preparing to transition to adult life, the IEP team should include adult service agencies that he will use when he transitions from school services to adult service agencies. Finally, the IEP team must document that they have considered several special factors regarding how services are delivered to the child. These include the need for positive behavioral interventions, communication and language needs, Braille, and assistive devices and services. The team should decide how these needs will be met and include this information in the IEP document. The IEP team meets at least once per year to review the child's progress. Of course, if concerns arise at any time during the school year, you can request that the team meet to review the IEP. At a minimum, the IEP team includes the parents, a special education teacher, a general education teacher, someone who understands evaluation processes and results, and a school representative who is authorized to commit funds to provide the services outlined in the IEP. A student age 14 or older should be invited to attend IEP meetings that discuss her post-secondary goals. In fact, students of any age should be invited to attend their own IEP meetings, and parents can invite others who have knowledge or special expertise regarding the child. Teachers, administrators, and other school staff are concerned about your child's success. Their desire is to work with you to ensure that the IEP is developed and implemented appropriately. When the IEP team meets to discuss your child's progress, you, the parent, have the right to participate as an equal team member.
I remember in that initial IEP meeting that we talked about as we were starting the whole public ed experience, that one of the team members asked me, "Where do you see your son at age 21? And it sort of took me off guard because I thought, that's too scary, that's too far away. But I appreciated them asking that question that would help me know that the whole educational journey was going to be one that we needed to take step by step to reach the desired outcome of having our son be as independent and functioning as possible.
There are several things parents can do to be effective partners in the IEP process. As a parent, you know more about your child than anyone else. What can you do to be a more effective partner? First, get copies of and review your child's school records and current IEP if there is one. Look at the current schoolwork your child is doing and review your child's evaluation information. If you have questions, ask for more information. You may also want to prepare a written list of your child's strengths and educational needs. Over a few days or a few weeks' time, you may want to consider things such as academic skills, personal care, motor skills, social and behavioral skills, speech and communication, and vocational skills. This list can help you remember the things you want to discuss in the IEP meeting. Know also that your child's teacher will be considering your child's needs. Many teams have found it useful for parents and teachers to exchange lists before the formal meeting. This type of organization will help you to be a more confident member of the IEP team.
Good. I am all ready for my IEP team meeting.
You need to be prepared and act in a professional manner. When you go into an IEP meeting, dress nicely. Have your papers organized and be a confident member of the team.
In the beginning, I had all my son's testing. It was just kind of randomly put wherever in my house, in a drawer, in a cabinet. And every meeting, they want you to have those things there. So every meeting, I'd have to dig around, and it was really stressful trying to organize all the testing, make sure I had all the documents I needed. So now I've got it all in one folder, and that's certainly saved a lot of time and stress. So.
The final task of the IEP team is to determine the most appropriate placement for the IEP to be implemented. Federal law says that students who receive special education services need to be educated in the least restrictive environment. That is different for each child and is based on the child's specific needs. Least restrictive environment means that to the maximum extent appropriate, students with disabilities are educated with students who do not have disabilities. Only when the IEP is developed and the placement is determined will your child receive special education services. The school is required to obtain written permission from you before these services begin for the first time. You play a very important role in monitoring how things are working. Since no one can ever be absolutely sure that a placement or an IEP goal is going to be appropriate for your child, you need to be aware of your child's progress. Some things you can do to monitor your child's progress include asking for regular progress reports, using a daily or weekly home note that tells you how your child is doing in school, or watching your child's behavior for any changes. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, you may want to contact the teacher to find out how she thinks your child is doing.
My daughter isn't doing very well, and she doesn't seem to be learning. That could only mean one thing. The teacher isn't doing her job. I'm gonna go to the school and let her have it.
Just because there is a problem doesn't mean that the teacher is doing anything wrong. It could mean that the goals or the placement are inappropriate, or that your child needs more specific instruction. Or it could mean that your child's needs are changing.
Every 3 years, the IEP team reviews all existing evaluation data for your child to see if she still qualifies for special education services. If the team determines that additional evaluation information is needed and you give your written permission, a formal reevaluation will take place. If evaluation data indicates that your child is still eligible for special education, she will continue to receive special education services. If not, the team will likely decide that special education is no longer necessary. As a parent and equal member of the team, you have the right to appeal the decision of the team.
You know, when I first started out, I didn't really know the team members, and I didn't really take the time to get to know them. I just kind of brought them to preschool, showed up at the meetings, signed the documents, and now I'm much more involved with the school team, getting to know them, asking them questions, following up with them to make sure that I'm clear on what they're doing with my son, and I think that's helped a lot with my comfort level and my trust of them, because I know what they're doing more and I feel more comfortable.
Oh, I can't believe those guys. They don't care about my child. They'll be sorry. I'm gonna sue the heck out of them.
It's okay to let off a little steam at home, but when you get to the school, choose to use appropriate professional behavior. Yelling won't get you anywhere.
Most of the time, parents can expect the IEP process to go smoothly and without problems. If a problem does arise, the law outlines the appropriate steps to take, and there are many ways to work out differences. First, try to negotiate with the IEP team during the meeting. If problems cannot be resolved at the team level, talk to the person at the next level up. This may be the special education department head or the school principal. You may consider bringing another person with you to an IEP meeting to help you talk through these differences. However, it's always a good idea to let the school know ahead of time if you are inviting someone to attend with you. If you are still unable to resolve your differences, you can contact your local school district office or the State Office of Education. It is usually most productive to follow the chain of command and to let other IEP team members know what you are doing.
You know, we went through the process. We first tried to talk with the teacher at our local elementary school and then the principal, and weren't getting really very far, and just worked up the chain of command that we saw we were supposed to. And then our superintendent called timeout. I think we can save the district a lot of money by, pursuing the things that really ought to be happening here.
The mediation process is another way to resolve these differences and allows you and the school district to reach an agreement that benefits your child's education. What if you've tried everything and even mediation didn't work? You have the right to request a due process hearing for disagreements involving identification, evaluation, placement, or the provision of a free appropriate public education to your child. This is a formal legal process, and it may be helpful to have professional legal assistance. And keep in mind that you may be responsible for some or all of the legal fees.
It's okay to take time to learn and give yourself that allowance to take that time and know that it's normal and it's not something that you're going to get all at once.
Become as informed as possible. I felt that knowledge was power, and I felt very empowered as I read and understood more about my son's disability and then what the state and federal laws provided as protections, and to enjoy the journey. It's a really beautiful world that we live in now, and that's what I hoped, is that I never grew up around children with disabilities, and so I find society being much more accepting and much more accommodating, and if we allow that naturally to happen in a very natural way, beautiful things happen.
The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, outlines the special education process. It's beneficial for you to learn this process and how to participate in IEP meetings. If you need more information or have any questions regarding your legal rights, or need someone to assist you in the IEP process, you may contact your school, the special education department of your school district, or the Parent Training and Information Center in your state. Be an active, informed partner with your school. Your child's education and future depends on it.
I think way far ahead. I don't like to hear, they're going to have these struggles, they're going to have resource. I mean, sure, those things are going to be implemented for them, but I can see them achieving greater and beyond whatever anyone can expect for them. I can see them in college, I can see them achieving whatever they want to.